Remarkable. Now, day 2 of the third and final pre-season testing gets underway this morning, and we can cross live to Rachel Brooks, who's at the Circuit de Catalunya for us. Good morning, Rachel. So Mercedes still the favourites, but who's looking to be the best of the rest?
Well, it was an interesting day yesterday, Olivia, because Williams finally showed us a glimpse of the potential that 2015 car has. Felipe Massa told me afterwards that he said they felt they needed to prove that they were there and thereabouts, and they certainly were. He posted the fastest time we've seen in pre-season testing, a 1 minute 23 seconds, 0.5 dead, and that's half a second quicker than anyone else has gone. And he was only on the soft tyres, so they've still got the performance on the super soft tyres to come, which is kind of what we thought Williams had. They were a bit under the radar at the time, but now we know they are up there and up there. But they're behind Mercedes, we still think. We don't think they've caught Mercedes up this season, but they are looking to be possibly the best of the rest. Red Bull yet to show their real performance. We think they are there or thereabouts. Williams may be slightly ahead of them at the moment, and Ferrari as well have been running really reliably at this test. Both drivers seem happy with the car. Kimi Räikkönen much happier with this year's car than he was last year's, and we asked him if he's satisfied with how things have gone so far.
I think you never 100% happy after the testing, but it's the same story every year. So, you know, we try to do our own stuff, and obviously we would like to have more time, but that's the same for everybody. And you know, hopefully we've done the right things and be happy once we go in the first race.
Now, the cars will take to the track in Melbourne 2 weeks today. Who has the most, though, to be worried about?
Well, I'm in front of the McLaren garage, Olivia, for very good reason. They've only managed 210 laps so far in pre-season testing. Jenson Button yesterday just 7 laps before a hydraulic leak put an end to their day. They had to change the power unit, and he's back in the car again today. No Fernando Alonso at this test, of course, because he's recovering at home in Oviedo from his accident on Sunday. But the McLaren guys working away, probably the busiest garage, I have to say, this morning so far that we've seen. Obviously, testing doesn't get underway for another half an hour or so here. But yes, they're working away to get that car out this morning. That engine deal with Honda at the moment, they probably are a year behind everyone else because everyone else got these power units in last year, but working hard to try and get some more laps under their belt and out on track. But to my right is the Force India garage, and as you can see, their shutters aren't even up at the moment. I have had a wander down there. They are working away behind those shutters right now, and this today potentially could be the first time we even see their 2015 car on the track. That's because they've been running a 2014 car up until now. The car arrived yesterday. They've been building it overnight to try and get it ready for some running today, and we're hoping to see that car go out with Nico Hülkenberg at the wheel to see what they've got for 2015, but they are very far behind. They haven't even done the 210 laps that McLaren have done. To give you an idea, Red Bull did 320 laps last year in pre-season testing in total, and they had a horrendous testing, and they managed to win 3 races and finish second in the championship. So all is not lost for McLaren, but they've certainly got a lot of work to do, and they won't be looking for podiums in Australia, that's for sure. It's going to take them a while to get going this season.
Interesting stuff. More from Rachel throughout the day in Barcelona, and you can keep up days of testing left in Barcelona ahead of the new season. Let's cross live now to Rachel Brooks at the Circuit de Catalunya. Morning, Rachel. Crucial that McLaren make the most of the time they have left on track. How's the morning been going?
Well, I can tell you, Rachel, it's been good news for McLaren and all their fans, because they got out first thing this morning, and Jenson Button put in 2 installation laps and got out of the garage early on, which is what they wanted to do. They've been working very hard, definitely the busiest garage when we got here early this morning. And he got out of those, and the racing director, Eric Boulier, was there as well, watching Jenson leave the garage this morning. And then Eric Boulier made his way over to the pit wall to watch Jenson go past on the second lap, and gave us a thumbs up. It seemed to look all right. Well, he was right, because since then Jenson's managed to put in another 20 laps. They've done 2 7-lap stints, and so far that 22 laps is the most Jenson's managed in a day out here in Barcelona. So it's going much better for McLaren today so far. He's back in the garage again. They'll come out again for some more laps. We've seen him going around here through the chicane towards the end of the circuit between 13 and 14 and 15 as they head back around to the start-finish line and the pits as well, to be fair. Elsewhere on track, though, we have seen some other improvements as well. Yesterday, we saw a glimpse of what the Williams might be able to do, and they put in a very quick time. Felipe Massa on the soft tyres, going fastest of all, and it was a glimpse of their potential today. Valtteri Bottas has been out on the hard tyres and has put in a pretty quick time on the hard tyres. Now, when you bear in mind that each tyre compound, as it gets softer, gets a lot quicker, that time from Williams does look impressive, and it looks as though they could be Mercedes' closest challengers this year. Still yet to see. We won't find out for real until Australia. But elsewhere, it's been interesting this morning watching the cars and the teams follow each other, because we've had Nico Rosberg and Sebastian Vettel on track for quite a few laps so far today, and they've been following each other around. 1 minute it was Rosberg behind Vettel, and the next minute it was Vettel behind Rosberg, as they got a close eye on their contenders for the title this season. Ferrari looked to have made a step forward, but we haven't really seen the kind of pace we thought we were going to see this week from them. They've shown quite a lot of promise, and the car does look to be a big step forward from last year. The drivers certainly seem happier, but in terms of outright pace, we're yet to find out exactly what that Ferrari has got and whether or not it will challenge the likes of the Williams and potentially the Red Bull. We're waiting to see what kind of performance they've got as well. Danny Kvyat's in the car for them today, but we'll be speaking to all the drivers later on who've been out on track today and having a word with them to see how the cars handle. We've watched the Toro Rosso go through here a few times, and that looks like one of the most difficult to handle at the moment as they come through this chicane, but we'll keep you posted throughout the day here on Sky Sports News.
Great, thanks Rachel.
Well, it's already been a better day for McLaren on day 2 of the final Formula 1 pre-season test. So Jenson Button back in the car again. He emerged from the garage just 5 minutes into the morning session. Managed only 7 laps yesterday before a hydraulic leak ended his day. But here's the racing director at McLaren Honda, Eric Boullier, looking quite satisfied with what he'd seen there out on the pit wall. Button easily has passed yesterday's tally, completing 44 laps this morning. Reserve driver Kevin Magnussen has also been in the McLaren garage this morning. He will take over from Button this weekend. Fernando Alonso, of course, continuing to recover from his crash at home. Crashed the last time that they were in Barcelona for the second test. Ferrari, Sebastian Vettel, Nico Rosberg in the Mercedes got close on track this morning. Rosberg's teammate Lewis Hamilton missed yesterday afternoon with a power unit problem, but already 64 laps for Mercedes and a solid 58 for Valtteri Bottas in the Mercedes-powered Williams. He's been 4th quickest overall, seen by many as the main challengers to Mercedes this year. Plenty of sensors on Danny Kvyat's Red Bull as the team tested their aerodynamics. Didn't set a time lap during the first 3 hours. And good news, I suppose, for Force India, because we've seen their 2015 car for the first time this winter. Had been testing with the previous year's car. Nico Hülkenberg is driving for them today. OK, let's cross live to Rachel Brooks, who is at the Circuit de Catalunya. Rachel, good afternoon to you. So how encouraging has this morning been for McLaren?
Very encouraging, I'd say, David. If you think that in total the best running they've had in the entire pre-season has been 59 laps for Fernando Alonso last week on a day when they weren't expecting to do much running because of a faulty seal. Well, today's 44 laps is a very good sign for them. They're hoping that they're getting on top of all the problems they've been experiencing. They are way behind where they would want to be right now. There are just 2 more days running after this afternoon, and that's when they then take the car to Australia for the first race of the season. So they've got an awful lot of work to do. You can see the other cars out today doing all sorts of aero testing and adding new bits to their cars. McLaren are just trying to keep that car running and keep it on track at the moment. But a good morning for them so far, very satisfactory. 44 laps for them, 44 laps for Jenson Button. Let's not forget the drivers in this. They're getting used to these new cars and the new equipment too, and he'll be very pleased to have got those laps under his belt. We'll be speaking to him later today to find out his thoughts on this 2015 McLaren.
And what about Force India? As I mentioned before, using their 2014 car up till now, and now finally we see the 2015 car out on track where you are in Barcelona. So what do you think they'll be looking to achieve, Rachel?
Well, they've got even more work than McLaren to do, unbelievably, David. That's the 2014 car over my shoulder. That's the one they've been running in their 2015 livery. And that's the one that's done more laps at the moment. And, well, luckily for them, Nico Hülkenberg did manage to get out for an installation lap before lunch. More than that, he even got a timed lap in, and it wasn't too bad. It was a 1:31. He's done 5 laps in total around this circuit. It's good for the team. They've got an hour now over the lunch break to really work on the car and see what happened during the installation lap, whether or not the data they've collected correlates with what they thought would happen, and can they get a good stint of running in this afternoon? That's what they want to do. They need to get runs of laps together. They need to see what breaks on the car. All work that should have been done 26 days ago in Jerez when the first cars took to the track. But they are out, they are running, and they can get this car around this circuit for a few more laps, be ready for Australia in some form or another.
OK, Rachel, for the moment, thank you very much indeed. Keep a very... To Formula 1 now. It's already been a better day for McLaren on day 2 of the final pre-season test in Barcelona. Jenson Button are back in the car just 5 minutes into the morning session, emerged out on track, ready to get some running done. And he only managed 7 laps yesterday before a hydraulic leak ended his day. But this is Eric Boudier, the racing director at McLaren Honda, and he looked pretty satisfied with what he saw, particularly as Button easily passed yesterday's tally as he completed 44 laps this morning. This is crucial running for McLaren. Reserve driver Kevin Magnussen has also been in the McLaren garage this morning. He will take over from Button this weekend. Fernando Alonso is continuing to recover at home following his crash on Sunday. Ferrari's Sebastian Vettel and Nico Rosberg and Mercedes got pretty close on track this morning. Rosberg's teammate Lewis Hamilton missed yesterday afternoon with a power unit problem, but already 64 laps for the Silver Arrows, as they're known. Plenty of sensors on Danny Kvyat's Red Bull as the team tested their aerodynamics. Didn't set a timed lap during the first 3 hours. Finally seen the 2015 Force India for the first time this winter. It's Nico Hülkenberg who is in the car for them. And running on the quicker soft compound tyres, Felipe Nasr set the quickest time of the morning session in the Sauber with a very, very different livery this year than last. So you can keep up to date. Well, it would appear that the Phoenix has risen from the ashes of the Marussia Formula 1 team. Manor Marussia confirmed as entrants in the 2015 FIA Formula 1 World Championship. Let's head live to Rachel Brooks in Barcelona, where the teams are currently testing ahead of the new season. So, Rachel, good news it would seem from the Banbury-based squad. What more can you tell us?
Yes, David. Well, we've got a red flag here on track. It's a green flag for Marussia. There'll be Manor Marussia racing next season, Manor Marussia F1 team, and they've got confirmed entry now this afternoon on the FIA's entry list. They are Manor Grand Prix Racing as the parent company, and we knew that the likes of Ferrari had said they would help and support. They're supplying them with 2014 engines. McLaren had said they would offer technology as well to help get them back onto the grid. Now, this does come with 2 stipulations. The stipulations are that they hold a super license. We know that Will Stevens was announced as one of their drivers for the new season. The other driver is to be advised. The other driver is not yet being confirmed. But also the second stipulation is that they meet the 2015 technical regulations. And this is going to be a real race against time for them, because next Friday is when the freight has to leave the UK to fly to Australia for that first Grand Prix of the season. They not only have to get their car together, which they have already told us this week is at an advanced stage, they have to get it crash tested. They have to get it to comply with all the regulations. Now, the crash testing, we understand, is going to happen next week. It's either Tuesday or Thursday, and you'd imagine if it fails on Thursday, then that is it. They won't be going to Australia because the freight has to leave 24 hours later. But we understand the car is going to be crash tested next week to be on that freight on the flights to Australia on the 6th of March. But it is good news for all those involved who've been working so hard to get this team back onto the Formula 1 grid. They're on the confirmed FIA entry list for 2015. They will be Marussia Manor F1 on the grid.
Thank you very much indeed, Rachel. Fernando Alonso has spoken on camera for the first time since his crash on Sunday. He has posted a video message to his fans to thank them for their support, and he says that he will be back in the car very soon.
Hello everyone. As you can see, I'm completely fine, and I would like to be in the test this week in Barcelona, but the doctor's recommendations are to wait a little bit, couple of days. But yeah, I will rest this weekend, and I will keep you updated next week with the progress, and see you very soon on the track, and thanks for all the support.
Manor Marussia F1 team are another step closer to competing at the season-opening Australian Grand Prix in 2 weeks' time. The team have been included on the FIA's entry list for 2015, but they still have a couple of hurdles to negotiate. The news has emerged on the final day of testing in Barcelona, and we can join Rachel Brooks.
Welcome back to the paddock here in Barcelona. I'm pleased to say I'm joined by Christian Horner right now, team principal at Red Bull. Christian, how would you say today's going?
Well, it's accumulating, mileage and information, on sort of longer runs as well. So had a couple of little issues, but no, it's been a reasonably sensible day.
When we spoke to you last week, you said that Renault were going to give you a refined package to run here. Are you able to run everything at the moment? You're going to have to wait and run some more in Melbourne?
I think it's a question of sort of general evolution. So we've got bits and pieces we're trying today, some more bits over the next couple of days. But you're looking at that Mercedes time, it's a little depressing, but hopefully they're not running around with 80 kilos of fuel to do that.
I was going to ask you about that. It kind of surprised everybody. We knew that car looked quick, but that was quite an impressive time on those soft tyres. Is it where you thought they were?
I suppose it is about really where they are at the moment, because they've been running obviously relatively conservatively throughout the testing, so they've obviously started to wind it up a bit, and you can see that the performance gap is pretty ominous. So everybody's pretty tight behind them, but they seem to have quite a gap at the moment.
Everyone's been saying it's quite hard to read where Red Bull are right now in terms of performance. You can keep the car on the track, but performance-wise, are you satisfied? Are you where you want to be, near where you want to be, or where you think you should be?
Well, it's not as close to Mercedes as we'd like to be, but I think we've had a pretty sensible run so far. So we're learning lots, and we've got more developments coming in the build-up to Melbourne. So we'll only really know where we are on that first Saturday qualifying session in 2 weeks' time.
At this time 12 months ago, it was a tough pre-season, I should say, for Red Bull. McLaren are going through that now. Do you have much sympathy for them?
It's not a question of sympathy. Look, McLaren are a good team. Honda have got a huge amount of experience. I think we demonstrated last year things can be turned around pretty quickly. And so, it'd be foolish to write them out of things at the moment. They've obviously done quite a lot of laps today, so I'm sure they'll be in better shape by the time they get to Melbourne.
Just finally from me, 2 more days here. How would you like to leave here? What would you like to have put on the board?
Obviously good to be racking up more mileage, just getting a better understanding of the car, the setup of the different tyre compounds. There's so many things that you want to sign off on, and inevitably we won't be able to achieve all of that. But hopefully the vast majority we will have covered going into Melbourne. So compared to 12 months ago, we're in much better shape. But where we are relative to the others, who knows?
Do you think you'll hit the ground running in Melbourne?
I hope so. I mean, Daniel was fantastic there last year. It'd be great to be competitive at his first race, or his home race. So, let's see.
Thanks very much for your time this afternoon, Christian.
Thanks.
Thank you. Christian Horner, the Red Bull team principal out here in Barcelona, as we head fast towards the end of this pre-season. Just 2 more days to go after this afternoon session.
Manor Marussia are another step closer to competing at the season-opening Australian Grand Prix in 2 weeks' time, after the FIA confirmed their entry for the 2015 season.
Yeah, final court papers were submitted today for the team to exit administration. Manor Marussia must now make sure their car complies with the 2015 technical regulations. We understand it'll undergo the mandatory crash tests next week. Well, Manor have already confirmed Britain's Will Stevens will drive for them, but they're yet to announce his teammate, as Stevens drove for Caterham in the final race of last season in Abu Dhabi.
It's been a much better day for McLaren in the third and final pre-season test. And Mercedes have revealed a bit more about their potential pace by setting the fastest time in Barcelona so far.
A big day for McLaren, who needed big mileage. Their pitboard lap counter had been a spare part for most of testing. This was a garage under pressure. Installation laps completed, Jenson Button set out for a longer stint. Racing director Eric Boulier paced like an expectant father. His car sounded some gruff notes, but it stayed out. Button pushed it to within 3 seconds of the pace and McLaren's fastest winter time. A first pre-season lap century was of much greater significance, albeit it ended with a breakdown on track. Kevin Magnussen will be at the wheel on Saturday, with Fernando Alonso still unconfirmed for Melbourne. He might yet be called up to race. Force India debuted their 2015 car after an opening lap puncture that proved quickly reliable. Nico Hülkenberg racked up 73 laps, but was slowest on the timesheet. Amongst the likely front-runners is the shadow boxing intensifying. Sebastian Vettel's Ferrari trailed Nico Rosberg's Mercedes as if gaining his measure. Performance chiefs and technical bosses will have crunched the numbers to gain a gist of where they stand. If Williams and Ferrari had reason for optimism, an hour before the session's end, did Rosberg reveal a gulf still exists between the champions and the rest. His 1 minute 22.7 seconds lap on soft tyres was 7/10 quicker than the previous best Barcelona mark. A little depressing, according to Red Bull's Christian Horner. His car was heavily censored for aerodynamic development. Will that only achieve so much? Is engine power still king? Craig Slater, Sky Sports.
Today the car was really not good on the rear, it was really the opposite of planted. That's my subjective opinion, of course. It might look good from outside compared to everybody else, but I always want better and better and better, and so it's still a work in progress.
But they did change the balance for you for this afternoon. It felt better, did it?
Yeah, but the whole day we were going in the right direction, but it took a long time because we were just extremely far away, and that's very unusual, and so it caught us off guard a little bit.
Well, meanwhile, Fernando Alonso has spoken on camera for the first time since his crash on Sunday. He's posted a video message to his fans to thank them for their support. He says he'll be back in the car very soon.
Hello everyone, as you can see I'm completely fine, and I would like to be in the test this week in Barcelona, but the doctor's recommendations are to wait a little bit, couple of days, but yeah, I will rest this weekend and I will keep you updated next week with the progress, and see you very soon on the track, and thanks for all the support.
Sebastian Vettel was behind Alonso when the accident happened. The FIA are investigating the crash, but Vettel says they haven't asked him to give evidence yet.
It was very windy on that day, but I'm not sure what exactly happened. I mean, I was right behind, but didn't really see. I was a bit too late, so I couldn't see how the accident started. I only saw the last bit where he was hitting the wall, but what happened before, I don't know. I can't judge whether he lost the car with the wind or not.
Right, cricket now, and to another